Hey campers, George here, back in the man cave. Got a couple of things going on here for you. Well, for us. Okay, mainly for me. But hey, 2 quick mail calls, a fix to this guy, and look at this guy. He's an older. Let's check it out. So what I'm talking about, Chaz, I went to the mailbox, picked these up. Remember this guy? This is a Barlow that came from Keith, a special one. It's got a sheep's foot on it. And this is a Colonial. The only problem is on that pen blade, there's a hole. See me? We got to fix that. So I went rummaging around in my bits and pieces box, and I found 2 Colonial pen blades. Look at that. They're actually a little different. And I want to see if we can replace this guy with this, and we'll clean him up. And the other thing I was talking about, and this is very cool. And you know, for the life of me, I can't remember where I found these. I don't know if it was an antique thingy or somebody sent it. Memory's going there. What can I tell you? But look at this guy. See that? Right? It's a wee diddly beat up. Okay. It's really beat up. Look at that. Look at those blades. Okay. And you're like, well, I've got to tell you, this guy's almost 100 years old. Look at that. Look at this guy. He's from Challenge Cutlery, and they weren't around very long. In fact, I think they landed up eventually, well, the rights went to Schrade, I think. But more on that later. We'll get into it. Like when I'm doing this thing, we'll talk about this thing. But in the meantime, let's see what these things are. 2 quick mail calls. And this one is from the great state of Idaho. Woot! And it's from Bob Thomas. Let's see what this is all about. I think I might know what this is. A week or 2 ago, I got an email from Bob. And you know me, I don't normally do this, but he tricked me. Well, he bribed me. He did a good job on it. Here's what he sent in the letter. Second chance, George. Here is the Camelus knife. See what I mean? Right out of the box. Got me. For trade that we spoke of in the email. Please check it out and tell me if you would like to trade. I won't be disappointed if you don't. If possible, I would like the barrel sheath, just like you made on YouTube. I would like your logo on the sheath if it fits. Keep up the great videos. Bob Thomas, it's Meridian, in the great state of Idaho. Ooh, boy. Look at this guy. You know, it's one of those, boring camellias I so love. I love their knives. Look at this guy. Plain and simple. Single blade sheep's foot. In really, really good condition. Look at that. It's got a bail on it. It's got a notch on the handle here, and a beautiful sheep's foot. And of course, it says Camillus, New York, USA, which means here's the info. And this from the great state of Idaho. My friend, Bob, you got a deal. I can't turn that. Bribery will get you everywhere. Beautiful. Thank you. I'll get on that sheath. I'll make it for you, and I'll get it off to you. I know you told me what you wanted for, so I'm going to make sure that it'll fit that. And I'm not going to make a video on it. I'll show you the end result before I ship it on. I'll make some pictures or maybe do a short on it. Very cool. Beautiful knife. Thank you, my friend. Greatly appreciated. Here we have another one, and this disturbed me. Well, not this. I got to the Pure box, and this was in it. And when I pulled it out, the knife dropped out onto the floor. The packaging was broken, and I thought, oh no. Oh, no, don't tell me. So I'm hoping there was just one knife in it. I didn't open it. I brought it back here. I took a picture. But inside we have a note with something stuck to it. Oh, he had wrapped the knife in there. You see that? And it had shot out. It must have come out of here and rattling around with the mail broke the package. It must have dropped out and they put it back in. Phew. I'm hoping there's just one. And we have a thank you so much. And this says, George, I came across this during one of my outings. As soon as I saw the blade, I knew it had to go to you. Have a beautiful day, Patrick. And Patrick, my friend, is from the great state of Florida, where it snows. And they get more, apparently, than we do. And I'm in Minnesota. The horror. I hope you're all safe with that. And here's that. Wow. Wow. Here's the knife. Look at that. Look at that thing. Is that not cool? Look at it. It's clean. It's a good-looking knife. It's nice and clean. And there's something on the bolster here. Oh, there's a number, 072. Can you see that? See that? And it has two blades. Oh, you know what? Look at that spay. Oh, look how long that guy is. Very nice. I like that handle. It's bone. It is bone. White bone. Can't beat that. And the other blade is... Okay. Now the letter makes sense. Look at this. Minnesota, the 32nd state. Isn't that great? That is very cool. And who is this? Frost Cutlery. Wow. See that? It says Frost. Look at this thing. That handle is really nice, isn't it? That guy, I love that. I love that. It's from the great state of Minnesota. That's beautiful. Look at that. Oh, nice snap on those blades. Wow. That is very cool. Very, very cool. Wow. Patrick, my friend, Patrick Robinson from the great state of Florida. Thank you, my friend. This is beautiful. This is great. I really appreciate that. And you know, it'll be a cool thing to have. I mean, after all, I am in the great state of Minnesota, right? I love this stuff. I love this. You know, I'm always amazed at what you guys do. Don't know what to tell you. Let's have a look at the other stuff I was talking about. Remember this guy, right? Barlow. And this was from Keith. It was part of, he had given me a bunch of knives, like 50 plus. And in there was a bunch of Barlows and some great Barlows. You probably saw the video. This was one of my favorites. This was one of my favorites simply because that. A sheep's foot on a Barlow is not something you see often. They normally have that huge clip and then they'll have a pen blade with it. Well, this guy has a sheep's foot. The pen blade has a hole in it. See that? Let me get it for you. Yeah, you can see it there. Don't know what happened there. Must be an Well, I went shuffling through my junk box and I found these two pen blades. Happen to be from the same maker as this, which just happens to be Colonial. And these are Colonials. They're a little different. One is thicker. They're about the same length. And I think they're going to match this. So what we're going to have to do is snap this off, take this off, compare these two. Right now, I'm liking the idea of the big, bulky pen blade. But we'll see. If it fits, great. If it doesn't, well, we'll have to go with the other one. We'll have to figure out what we're going to do. But I'm hoping for that one. The other thing I'm talking about, and for the life of me, I can't remember where I got this from. I think I may have picked it up at an antique store or somewhere like that. Or maybe it was a mail call. I can't remember. It's a beautiful little knife. Look at that handle. Now, it's pretty beat up, right? When I say pretty beat up, that's the understatement. Look at that. Look at those blades, okay? And look at this knife. And I was like, I wonder who made this. And then I looked it up. And this is a challenge cutlery knife. See it? You go, well, what's the big deal, George? It's pretty beat up. Not much you can do with that, right? Well, you're right. I can clean it up a little bit. I don't want to do too much to it. I want to keep it original. And you ask me why. Well, this knife is almost 100 years old. I kid you not. We'll get into that. When we fix the Barlow, we'll go over the history of these challenge cutlery people. Interesting. So here's everything I think I'm going to need to do the job. I'm just being prepared. I got gloves. I got some nails that I use for hold it together when there's no pins in. Piece of wood, hammer. This is probably the tool I use the most when working with them. Punch out pins. The two blades I want to put on here, one of them. The blade to cut through the pins so I can get these out. Going to need that to pull pins out and that sort of thing. The tray here that I'm going to dip the knife in because I want to get rid of some of the heavier rust. And I use evapor rust. And of course, life without coffee is no life at all. Let's do this. So what I got to do is I want to replace this, like I said, because of the hole in it. Now, rummaging around in this is a Colonial, by the way. Rummaging around, I found two Colonial pen blades. These two here. Now, they're slightly different. This one is bigger than that one. You see that? And I kind of like that idea because this is an unusual Barlow. Let's give it a big one. I'm not sure if either one is going to fit. So to figure that out, we're going to have to take this apart. And to do that, we've got to take the bolsters off and pop the pin, pull them out, and let's put these in to see if they're going to fit. We may have to do some adjustments on when they're open and closed and that sort of thing. The other thing we have to keep in mind, nail nicks. Make sure they're in the right position. Right now, the nail nicks have got to be on the same side. We can see there. Let's take this apart, cut through, and then try these out. Like I said, this is one of the handiest things I own. It's a not very sharp, pokey thing. See that? And I'm going to use it to take these off, which work just like the clamshells. They have the little lip over here, the clip that holds them on, and this slides. So what I do is I try and catch that lip and just bring it up some. Like that. It's starting to come up. You've got to go slowly. You do not want to break the clip. So you've got to really be careful when you do this. And these are on pretty good. So I couldn't get this point to catch, but I have a little flat screwdriver that the handle's broken, and I managed to get that lip and just lift it enough so that it's sticking out there. You don't want to flip this back if you need to. Sometimes you can just push them to the side, but not here because it's really in here tight, so I'm going to have to pop it right off. Can you tell I'm not having a good time? I'm so nervous about breaking these. There we go. And I'm hoping it's going to come apart. Will it pop out? Does it slide? Oh boy, I did it. I did what I didn't want to do, and that is force that up. It looks like, oh boy, things just got complicated. Yep. That is all the way in there. Huh. And I can't see how deep it is in there. I'm wondering if this pin is through there, and I suspect it is. Oh boy. The whole plan has just changed. I broke that clip. I don't know, it fell off. And I don't know where it fell into. But it's gone. I may have another bolster. So I think what I'm going to do, the safest thing to do with this whole thing is to take the whole knife apart. I think I'm going to do that, which means cutting through the pins and all that good stuff. And then here's an old Barlow that I was planning on replacing the scales. It's missing half of one side, but it has a bolster. Wood, which just happens to meet the same as that. Yep, they're both Colonials. This one I'm planning on replacing the whole handle simply because I don't have another one of these. And also the blade is bad, and I have another Colonial blade that I wanted to put it together and put a full wood handle on this. So I'm going to take that and put it on there once I get that apart. To be honest, never taken one apart. Didn't know how it looks like it's on a clip. You see that? I think, no, it's too long. I don't know. It's going to be interesting when we take it apart. Huh. Look at that. It's like a special clamshell, the whole thing. Wow. Huh. They're putting them on here. That's interesting. So this was a trick I've seen on a couple of channels now, and I've used it before. You use one of these blades, and you can slide it in here so that it sits like that, and it goes up, and you hammer on the top here, and it cuts right through the pin. And I'll show you that now. You're going to do that for each pin. We're going to have to take the tops, all three pins out. I'm thinking if I do that, I can take it apart. Take this one off without any possibility of damaging it. We hope. So let's do that. This thing is so well put together, I couldn't get the blade in. So I wanted to just get rid of that one pin, and I thought I'd just do that one as well. And let's see if we can pop this off now, somehow. Look at that. Okay. Let me try and grind that off. These seem to have come through really easy. I might as well just grind them off and try and punch them out. There's our sheep's foot, and here's the spring for it. Let's keep it in order so you can actually see what I'm doing here. I'm going to keep them in order here. We may need to shuffle them around because of the nail nicks, but we'll see where we're going here. Can I get this off? I think I'm going to pull this spring off, cut these pins as close as I can. Actually, I don't need to. Ha! I'm overthinking this. Now I can get this off by just undoing these pins. The clips here, just like that. There we go. Look at that. And we're not going to put too much pressure. We have one that doesn't have a broken clip. Woot! Now we got this one can come out. This one can come out. And now we have bits and pieces. A lot of them. Okay. Let's figure this out now. So, first of all, what I wanted to do is see if the sheepsfoot's going to work on this with one of these two blades. That one is no good anymore. So I'm going to get my pins that I have here, these nails, and I'm going to put it back together without the covers on. Just like this. So this is the outside liner that this actually goes on, like that. You see this liner here does not have the divots in it for the clips to go on. So we know these two are your outer liners. That's what these will connect to. This goes in the middle of the blades. This one there. That's an outer one. This is your spring. The blade. Okay, I feel silly right now. I didn't realize that I dropped a spring. So that liner does go there. I want to try this blade first though, because that's the one I want. And I'm hoping it's going to work. See the nail neck? The nail neck. Let me get a little closer here and a little bit down. The nail neck on this guy is on that side. So that means this nail neck's going to be sticking out this way. So we have to put the sheep's foot in first. Then the middle liner, the one that doesn't have the divots. And then this one. Let's see if that spring sits in there now. Yeah, it's holding, crossing fingers. That's the only problem I see. See how the tip's sticking out? But that we can fix by filing that down. But I don't want to do that until I know exactly what's going on. So what I want to do is I want to put another pin in there. Let's see if I can force this through. Almost. I was hoping I'd be able to just force it through, but it's not going to happen because the springs are pretty good. So what I'm going to have to do is squeeze this, squeeze the springs down on each end here, line up the holes and drop the pin in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the knife together here, and I'm going to drop it in here and squeeze it together to push the springs in. You can see now there's tension on the blade. This time I've taped them together, hopefully it'll hold enough. So now you can see I have them in. I just used the tape to stop the outer ones from pulling away so that the springs don't pop out. So there we are there. Now I look here and we've got good snap on the springs. Now, when I close this guy down, let's see what happens. Oh, I've got to get rid of the tape. Let's see. Goes in, but look how high it sits. And this snap there, all that's happening is this piece here is hitting the spring too soon. So it sticks up. Now, it seems to stick up a lot, but I can tell you that it doesn't take a lot to file this down before it lies perfect. So keep that in mind. You don't want to just grind that away because it'll drop too low and you won't be able to get to the nail neck. And you'll notice the nail neck is on this side and this one is on the other side. So we have access to both. I like this blade and I think that's the way we're going to go. I think it'll work just fine. So let's do that. So now we have another Barlow clam with a clip on it. Hopefully we won't break this one. Okay, so here we are now. We now have 2 clam shells with the clips, hopefully. And that goes on there. We're going to have to pin that back on like that. It's not going to be easy, but I think we can come up with something. I want to make it look kind of the same. And then this goes inside there. Isn't that exciting? Ha! So that's what we're going to do. We're going to clean this stuff up. We'll give everything a dip. I want to give these a wash with soap to see if they gets rid of any dirt, and then we'll see where we are after that. So I have it all taken apart again. Well, hopefully it'll go back together. And it's just I'm gonna let it sit in some evaporust for an hour or 3. Let it take care of the rough stuff, loosen up some of the rust, and then we can start cleaning everything up. And speaking of cleaning, I want to go and take these upstairs, and I'm just going to dip them in some soap, dishwasher soap, and give it a good rub and see if they clean up some. So I'm going to do that quickly while that sits, and then we'll have a look at that other knife you probably forgot about. Okay, so I washed these guys, cleaned them up. I'd got most of the dirt off. The interesting thing is that the grip improved on that. These are now ready. And while that sits there, I wanted to show you this guy. See this? Awesome. Beautiful knife. But this knife was made by the Challenger Cutlery Company of Bridgeport out of Connecticut. And all they did, now they weren't around very long, interestingly enough. They were around from 1891 to 1928. Look at this handle. That's beautiful. Whoever owned this knife before scratched their initials or something in on that shield, and you can see just how badly pitted over the years and bad sharpening the blades are. It's really patinaed, and it's very cool. It's just unfortunate the blades were so bad. But I like it. I'd like to just clean it up a little bit. I don't want to change anything on it. I just want to give it a good cleaning and make it a little shiny. The blades, I'll just give them a rub to get most of the rough stuff off. More about the Challenge Company. It originally was a trademark of a company from Sheffield. It was purchased by a company called Frederick, I want to say Wildbush and Co. In New York. That gentleman actually passed away in 1893. A long time ago. So this guy, and it's still got great snap on the springs and everything, was made in, sometime between 1891 and 1928. So it's been around a while. Even if it was made in 1928, it makes it like 90-something years old. Very cool. Eventually, the company would be purchased by George Schrade and eventually became the Schrade Cutlery Company, which I thought was interesting. Most of the knives in the US were made in New York around 1876 to 1914, I believe. So while they sit in there and soak a little bit, I'm just going to give this guy a rub with some 1000 grit on the bolster. You can see it just has bolsters on one side. I did try to find a similar knife and I couldn't find any. The only one I found that looked like this had bolsters on both sides. But very cool. You know, it's probably not worth much because it's in such bad condition. But it's mine and it's almost 100 years old, so I'll be sure to look after it. So I'm just going to give it a quick rub, oil it and everything, and hopefully it'll be around for another 100 years. So all I've done is I dipped it in the vapor rust for about 30 minutes. Didn't want to do any more than that. And it cleaned it up pretty good. It looks a little shinier. That's about it. The blades are still really bad. But I'm just going to oil it, put a lot of oil on it. You can see how the metal has just lived up to its 100 years, I suppose. So I'm going to oil it in here and everywhere else on the blades and everything. And I'm going to put it away as my little treasure. Great knife. It's got a lot of history, I'm sure. Can't believe how much spring is still left. That snap. And there you go, my little treasure. Love this thing. Just love it, the thought of it having been around as long as it has. Can you imagine what this thing has seen? This must have been a great knife. Still is, but can you imagine when it was new? It's been a beautiful knife. So I'm just going to go over these in here with the brass brush and trying to rub off the heavy rust on it. You can see all the heavy rust on here. Just give them a quick rub so you can see it took all the heavy rust off. Very cool. Get all this done, then I'm going to wash them off. Some water, warm water, get rid of the leftover vapor rust, and then we'll polish it, 1000, 2000, mothers, and sharpen. See, here we are here. I gave them a good wash in some warm water. Now you can see they're looking a little better already. Now we just have to touch them up. The great thing about when you have to take a knife apart like this, you can clean all the edges of the springs, the liners, and that sort of thing that's in the well of the knife. When you don't take it apart, it's really hard to get in there and clean them up and make them shine. Now you have the chance. So let's get at it. Now we got to fix that. Got some nice snap. This one spring has really good snap, and I put it on the wrong blade. Oh well, here we are. We have it together. Now we've got to get these out, file that down, a little bit more cleanup, and sharpen the blades. So now you can see the tip is below, it doesn't stick out, which is a good thing, and you can still get to your nail neck. And the nail neck on this side. Coolio. Now we got to figure out how to put these things on. So what I've figured out is you've got these little hooky things and your tab here. So you have to have these hook things in the right position. And if you put your tab in, you'll hook in this one, the bottom one, and kind of drops in like that, which hooks in, and then you got to get that middle one in, and then you got to get that tab over like that, and there you are. Just got to push that tab in, and hopefully that'll hold. So here it is here. I filed down the piece here on the ricasso, so now it's below the handle, and I oiled it, and we've got good snap. So, by the way, this has half stops. Never realized that. So there you go. Let's sharpen them. So now we got sharp and shiny. I'm just going to go over it quickly with mothers. Got to be careful, these are now sharp. So we'll do that now. You can see it there. Mothers does a good job. Quick polish, and look at that. So there you go. This Barlow, it's actually a Colonial, which means I can't really date it. See there. I'm glad I found this blade. It's a nice big thick pen blade, and I think it suits this because of the unusual sheep's foot, which you don't see that often on a Barlow. So I thought that was very cool. Changed the blade. Struggled a bit with putting the covers on, and was, you know, I hadn't broken a clip before. That was my first, and it went downhill from there, but we got it back and going again, so I got lucky there. Putting this together was a little bit harder than I thought it would, putting these on. I did get them on. You can see everything goes on. There's little gaps, but not a lot. What I landed up doing, although it clipped together, it kind of moved a little bit. So I took it apart, and just where the clips go in, put some JB Weld, just to stop them from moving, because you could hear it click. And now they're nice and solid. Interesting that when I cleaned this up, it got grippier. So that turned out pretty good. Nice, fun little project. Once again, learned things. And it cleaned up nicely. You know, taking a knife apart and cleaning everything and putting it back together will give you a better result, you know, simply because you can get in there and behind you and all, and clean up the edges of the liners and things like that. So that really works. So worked out pretty cool. And then my little sentimental old man here. I love this knife. Just wish the blades were in better condition. But hey, when you're that old, that happens. But I just cleaned it up, got most of that rust off. I've oiled, put a lot of oil on it because it's going to just go into its little box and sit there, and I'll pull it out now and again and go, ooh, ah. Maybe I'll come across another one that has good blades. You know, like I said, it was really, I couldn't find this exact knife, a picture of it. I found a bunch of others, pretty interesting, in really good condition. So there you go. And of course, thank you to all for mail calls. Very exciting. I love getting little surprise gifts. So there you go. You all be safe out there. Especially when you do things like I did, and really you should polish then sharpen, because when you rubbing your hands all over these blades, you got to be really careful. You just sharpened and you saw it sharpened up nicely. I've got to come up with some sort of sheath for these. They're too big for a slip, but a sheath. I don't know. Maybe I can come up with something. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe. You know the story. Pretty sure I'll be back. I got another Barlow that is just toast. The handles are gone, and I'm thinking of rehandling it with some wood. Not the ironwood, but I forget what it's called. It's that where they inject the color into the wood. I'm thinking of just making a complete handle so it won't have the big Barlow bolster on it, but it might look cool. Well, we'll find out, right? Thanks for watching. Always appreciate it. We'll see you again soon.